Hey, Fuzzy here. I really wanted to refresh a few new wave of British heavy metal albums. I took from the shelf with pleasure such albums, which I will show in a moment. Let's start. First, the live album 100 M.P.H, released by the VARDIS in 1980. Here is the original British edition of the logo in such a rather unconventional way. They started their career with the release of their first album, consisting of tracks played live. Of course, they were not special because A to Z band did the same on their debut album and only album, The Witch of Berkeley. Then the London band SAMSON and their second studio album, Head On, the original 1980 edition of the Jam. This is the first album with future Iron Maiden frontman Bruce Dickinson on vocal as Bruce. The theme of the song Thunderburst is the same of more famous Iron Maiden's The Ides of March, first song of the Killers album, co-written with Steve Harris, and the cover art features the band's masked drummer Thunderstick. Next we have Raven, the power trio from Newcastle, and their debut Rock Until You Drop from 1981. The album was the first of many heavy metal studio albums issued by a British independent label Need Records. Here is the silver hand with a blue Need Record text edition, a fantastic debut by the Gallagher brothers and Rob Hunter. Now, the female part of new wave of British heavy metal, the band GIRLSCHOOL and their second studio album Hit and Run from 1981. Girls known from working with Motorhead as Head Girls in 1981. Great album here, European pressing from BRONZ Records. Next up is TYGERS of TANG band from Whitley Bay, second studio album Spellbound from 1981. MCA Records UK edition. It's the first full-length album to feature guitarist John Sykes, who later joined Tin Lizzy and Whitesnake. It's also the first album with vocalist John Deverill, and the album was produced by the legendary Chris Tsangarides. The miniature Minotaur was composed by Steve Harris. I love this album and this band. More, and their studio debut Warhead, released on Atlantic Records in 1981. Great album. We have Paul Mario Day on vocals, best known as the first singer of Iron Maiden. He was replaced by Dennis Wilcock in 1976 and then played in bands such as More and Wildfire. I love that Brute Force and Ignorance album too. And now Diamond Head with their second studio album called Borrowed Time, original MCA Records, release from 1982, gatefold sleeve with poster. The full title of the album as shown on the artwork and spine is Living On Borrowed Time. Fantastic, phenomenal record. Now Hammer, the band was formed in 1982 as Holland and renamed Hammer in 1984. The band signed with Ebony Records and released their first album as Holland, entitled Early Warning, in 1984. They then released this album, their second, Contract with Hell, as Hammer in 1985, which also came out on Ebony Records. A great album. And now representatives of the melodic hard rock playing in the new wave trend, Lettin Loose, hard rock band from Glasgow, Heavy PETTIN. It's the debut album of this group, released by Polydor in 1983. Here original English pressing. In the US and Canada, this debut was released as same title and featured alternate cover artwork. And also the debut full-length album of the hard rock band BRONZ, entitled Taken by Storm, from 1984. The original European edition of BRONZ Records with that transparent little record with excerpts from the debut album Taken by Storm, 4 tracks. Taken by Storm. Again, the Canadian and American release of this album had a different cover, such as the CD reissue. And 2 more albums that for me are the symbol and the quintessence of the new wave of British heavy metal style. The third in the discography and the second album in 1980, Strong Arm of the Law by SAXON, and the second album by Iron Maiden, entitled Killers, from 1981. The last with Paul Diano, Killers, Iron Maiden. In the background, the debut album The Warrior by the London band CHARIOT, released in 1984, was heard. So that's it from me today. See you next time. Cheers!